One question, two answers, three takeaways. This is The Process with Brad Borland and Mike McKinnis. All right, Mike, we have a question about priorities. So a lot of people out there, they want to get a workout in, they want to get, um, uh, so many days a week. Maybe they work out on the weekends a little bit, but everybody, especially with this audience, we have that sort of age group that has families, jobs. Maybe they have some other obligations outside of all that. They have social lives and other things that just crop up, other things that just sort of come up, emergencies. So we want to talk about priorities and how workouts fit into our work week, all those things I just mentioned. And really, I guess maybe lead us off with what's the sort of the first thing we need to think about when setting priorities? Because when you say priorities, it's like a huge subject. It's like, where do I begin? And what's a good, simple place to start?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just really figure out what's truly important to you in your life. What are the things that, mean the most to you? I think back when I was in college, playing sports, one of my coaches said this really cool thing that has stuck with me since then. He's like, instead of getting overwhelmed with things, anxious about stuff, just remember these core things. Your top priorities are God, family, school, and baseball. And when you break it down, something as simple as that, it's going to stick with you. Now, obviously, I'm not in school anymore, thank goodness, and I don't play sports, but work and working out have replaced those two. But that's been 30 something years ago, and I still think about that every day. Like, those are my core priorities, and that's what I focus on every day.
Yeah, so with that said, like you said, things have changed now for you, and they should. We usually have spouses and kids and different things that crop up and different work obligations, and even the work can evolve, right, over the years with responsibilities. How do you fit your priorities in now? What's your kind of best practice? What do you do, maybe on a daily or weekly basis that kind of sets those priorities up?
Yeah, you made a good point. We all get busy. We all have a bunch of things going on. So I'm a planner by nature. I'm a little on the OCD side, but I like to plan and know what I'm going to do. So every Sunday evening, I come in my office here at home and I open up my work calendar and I go in and I find every day where I have a break. And I will put my workouts in my calendar just like it's a meeting. And to me, that gives me peace of mind because I know, oh, hey, today is Thursday. Looks like I have a break at, 2 o'clock this afternoon. So that's when I'm going to the gym. Then I'll come back and finish my work day. But it's just adds a lot of peace of mind. And another thing I do, I don't just put my workout in my calendar. I put what I'm doing that day. So, I'll put gym, chest and tries, and then the next day I'll put gym, back and buys, and so on. So I'm not trying to figure out what I'm going to do that day.
Yeah, yeah, it made me think of a little bit about when you spoke about how your priorities can shift a little bit from being in, high school, college to even as a young professional to now. I remember way back when I was competing in bodybuilding, my priority was, of course, school and different obligations, but I think that my workouts became much bigger of a priority back then because I was competing and you had to get your workouts in, you had to get your meals in, you had to get your rest in, all those things and how it's shifted. But and we've talked about this a lot before offline where, training to us is, and I'm hoping more people adopt this kind of attitude, but training to us is like breathing, it's like brushing your teeth
Yeah.
or showering every day. And
Right.
so it becomes almost this built-in priority, right? And it's, I don't have to think about it.
Hmm.
And, I think that was one of the stories I love to hear about Arnold. They always ask him about his morning routine, and he says, the first thing I do when I get up, I don't think about anything.
Yep.
I just do. I go get the coffee, I get on my bike, I go to the gym, I work out. Then when all that's done, then he starts thinking, about, okay, what do I have to do this day, et cetera, et cetera. So those priority lists. But I'm kind of the same way. I'm sure you are too, where, when it's time, when if you say schedule your training at noon, it's like, okay, noon to one, that's it.
That's right.
That's my focus shifts from maybe I just got out of a meeting to now I'm going to work out. And then at 1 o'clock, I'm back at work or whatever, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. So yeah, it just made me think about it, almost this automatic autopilot that kicks in, and so I just, like I said, I hope people can adopt that mentality because then your priorities, I don't want to say they become easier, but it just becomes more simpler that way. You know?
Well, what it is when you have your true priority list, it just becomes a part of you. Like it's like you were talking about Arnold. You don't think about it. Like this is what you're going to do. And once you get it ingrained into your lifestyle, it's automatic. Like there's just it's not like I saw this clip one time. I think we talked about it with Arnold, and somebody interviewing him said, "Well, why do you still work out at your age?" He said, "Well, why did I eat breakfast today? Why did I breathe today?" It's like it's a part of his life, just like, you and I are the same way. And, everybody, even a casual fitness person can be that way, but you just get it in as a part of your day. You know you're going to do it and you don't even think about it.
Yeah, I think it's just also you can always ask yourself this question every day of like, why am I doing this? Right. So you hear that word a lot especially in business and different coaching kind of things, is it find your why. Right. And I think if you focus on that, your why, whether it's, you know, hopefully your why is a lifetime goal, like of some sort, it could vary,
Yeah.
especially, but hopefully it's a long-term lifetime type goal that you can easily sort of fixate on. But maybe you need to write it on a post-it note in your mirror in the morning, or by the bed or something like that, or put it on the screen of your phone or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, just always focused on that why. And so I'm kind of throwing you a curveball here a little bit, but what would you tell somebody who, you know, let's say they're not like us, they're not,
Hmm.
they didn't start training at 14, 15, 16 years old, whatever. They don't have a background and all this stuff. Let's say they're 40 something years old right now and they want to set their priorities. What's kind of like a rough outline of a stair step approach?
Well, I think you really, again, you need to really pinpoint what's important to you. And like you mentioned, the why. Why do you want to work out? I mean, is it because, hey, you want to lose a little weight? You want to put on some muscle? Maybe you want to improve like your overall health, so you can live longer for your family. You know, that's when you talk about the why, those are the things that I think of. It's like these are the things that are important. And if you can just always focus on what is the reason that I wanted to do this in the first place, that should help keep you focused and moving forward. But, another thing too, I hear people talk all the time about, well, I just don't have time. I don't have time. I'm busy. Kids have this. Work is this. Work, things are going on. And, I hate to sound kind of harsh, but I just don't want to hear that. I can't accept that because there are 24 hours in a day. And if you come up with that priority list, like I mentioned earlier, you will find time in those 24 hours to get those things done. And it makes me think of a quick story. I used to work with a guy years ago, and he was always ask me about working out and how do you do this? What do you do for that? But he would never go to the gym. And I still remember he was asking me all these questions. I said, "Well, hey, did you go? Have you been to the gym yet? Are you going to work out?" "Well, I don't have time. We're busy." And I said, "All right, so hold on now. So what did you do after work when you got home?" And he said, "Well, we hung out with my wife a little bit, and we cooked dinner and ate with the kids and everything. And then after dinner, helped the kids with the homework. And we hung out a little bit." He said, "Oh man, after that, oh my gosh, have you seen that movie? Whatever it was, it's such a great movie. You got to see this." So he watched that, and then he said, "Yeah." And then we watched this little 30-minute show before bed, and then we went to bed. And so I stopped him. I said, "Okay, I'm all for cooking dinner and eating with the family. We do that every day. Hanging out with the kids, that's obviously a priority for you. But then you just told me about 3 hours worth of stuff that really weren't that important. You watched a 2-hour movie, you know, another 30-minute show, and then, whatever you did, and then you went to bed. And I told him, I said, are you telling me with that extra time, you couldn't just take like 20 or 30 minutes to go do something? Just go walk around the block or do something. And I can see it just like you just said. I still remember the look on his face when I pointed that out. He was like, okay, like there is time in a day. And if it's truly a priority, you will find that time.
Yeah, I think people, it's like, it's again, it's like autopilot, but in the wrong way, where
Yeah,
they come home and they might veg out on the sofa and scroll on their phone, social media, whatever. And then all this time passes by with
that's
between
right.
Netflix and all the other things. And they don't realize how much time, I don't want to say wasted, that's kind of harsh, but just how much
Mhm.
time it takes. And there's like this deep inner rooted kind of habit formed in their inside that it's like that's what I do. And if I don't do that, something's missing from my life. And
That's right.
or my day's not right, or it's just it doesn't feel right, whatever. And but it's like, no, you can break some of that up. Like you can still
Yeah,
watch an hour show or a occasional, a movie or whatever, but let's get, like you said, get that 30 minutes in. And it's
yep,
going to feel a little weird at first because you're kind of breaking your normal routine of coming home
right.
from work and doing A, B, and C. But, and then after a while, that's why I say I hope people can prioritize it like we do, because then going to the gym, let's say, for example, right after work, let's say you just change clothes at work and you get a snack on the way and you get to the
Mhm.
straight to the gym, then that becomes your new habit. That becomes your new
Right.
routine. That becomes sort of the new norm. And then it becomes like, oh yeah, this is, I can't miss this.
Yep.
This is a part of my day. And I think people would just get over that hump that like might
Hmm.
take like 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing there, but if they could just get through that, it's just like anything else, forming those habits, then they'll be on their way and it'd be way easier to put into practice.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like anything. It's just getting started. Taking those first couple steps, and the first couple times you go to the gym, it throws your schedule off, and you're going to be a little shaken. Your routine's messed up, but after, like you say, it usually takes about 2 weeks to start breaking habits. So after about 2 weeks, if you can just make that time, like you say, to go right on the way home from work, or think about this. Most gyms these days are 24 hours. And, there are times I've been to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning because, I knew it was a day I had to get my workout in and my schedule was jam packed. So I've been to the gym at 4 o'clock. I've been to the gym at 8 o'clock at night. I don't like working out late at night, honestly, but if it's your day to go, you better go. You need to find a way to make it there.
Yeah, and I wanted to add too, because earlier you talked about, hey, do you have 30 minutes, and that could be any kind of amount of time, right? So, you don't have to go to the gym 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, all that good
Hmm.
stuff. You could say, hey, I'm going to start low hanging fruit 2 days a week, 20
Yeah.
minutes each. Let that sink in. Let it sink in for 2 to 3 weeks,
Hmm.
and then you can add a day,
Right.
20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. And then you can say, okay, 3 days a week, 30 minutes a day, start
That's
creeping
right.
up there. So really start where it's absolutely realistic and absolutely doable that you can pull that off.
Yeah.
You don't have
It's
to like,
just it's creating habits.
yeah,
You know.
it's your story about your work friend. It made me think of, I remember a guy years ago, that same kind of thing. He bought all his supplements. He got $700 worth of supplements in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he loved, I'm sure he loved to point and click and buy all that stuff and research it, and that was
Yeah.
fun, and it's fun to get in the mail. And he got all of it, and he came in, he's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do all, do it. Got all my supplements lined up and stuff. I was like, great. Okay, good. So what you working today? Oh, I'm not working out today. I just came by to say hey to everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. So you can do all the prep you want. You could say, oh, I got all the supplements. I went to the grocery store, got all my food. I got my
Mhm.
perfect routine that I got off the internet from some hotshot trainer. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill it 6 days a week. It's gonna be brutal. And then, but the priorities aren't there. Like you said, you got to start with that foundation of priorities of just like that, the core finding that why and going from there. And then I think the rest will take care of itself. You'll develop a routine, you'll develop a diet, you'll develop all these kinds of other skills. They'll come. Don't worry about that.
Yep.
Just focus on that priority. So, with that said, what would be your sort of top three takeaways about setting priorities?
Yeah, I think number one is just like I was saying before, schedule your workouts just like they're a meeting or an appointment, because you're not going to skip a meeting for work, you're not going to miss a doctor's appointment, something like that. So treat your workout as an appointment, and you will keep it. Um, the next thing is stay focused on your goals. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Or, again, are you trying to lose weight, put on a little muscle, just overall health, whatever it is? Stay focused on that, because, that's what got you in the doors. That's what got you to step foot in the gym. So don't forget that. Like, that's why you're there. And then, just make your workouts a necessity. Make it a part of your day. And, once I say this all the time, I say it gets in your blood. Like, once you get in the habit of going to the gym, you enjoy it, you're seeing progress, it becomes a part of you and your lifestyle. So I think those three things can help anybody, whether you're brand new or even an advanced, fitness person. Stay focused on those three things, and I think that'll help a lot.
Yes, I love it. Yes. Yeah. So with that said, so I'm sure we're going to talk about this more in the future. We can talk about priorities all day and how they
Right.
relate to other things like discipline and routine and
Yeah.
habits and change. We could talk about change all day. Things happen in life and injuries can come into the picture. So priorities, they may not change completely over the years, but they definitely shift, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of have to, maybe that'll be another subject about shifting priorities, right? So,
That's right.
anyways, guys, that's it for today, and we are out.